And now we're ready to add our cardboard tag at the top. So we'll find that down here, bring it over, and now you'll notice, because I was working with that blue rectangle again, when I brought this in, it's not up at the top and where we'd like it to be. So you simply go over to your layers palette, you'll see that our cardboard tag is in the middle here instead of in the front. So an easy way to correct that is to go up to Layer, Arrange, Bring to Front. You can also click the layer that you'd like to move and drag it up. That's another easy way to get the layers to be up front where you can work with those. So once we have that tag at the front, we're going to flip it, and we're going to drop it into place here. Next, we will go ahead and add our buttons. This is also going to need to be resized however you like it. We have our next button. And you'll see how small that appears. It's very hard to grab onto it when you've got your handlebars around the object. So what I like to do is go ahead and get my magnifying glass and zoom in on the area. And now that I can see it clearly, I can grab hold of it with my mouse and drag it into place. And we're going to make that just a little bit bigger with our handlebars. Okay, now I want to zoom back out, so I can simply double click on my hand tool and that will show me my whole page. Okay, next we will need to go ahead and add our stitching. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller and kind of drag that into place. We'll go ahead and duplicate the layer by right clicking on the layer and moving your cursor up to duplicate layer. There we have a second set of stitching. We can move it up, and we're actually going to flip that so that this cluster is over here on the left side. So I'm going to go to Image, Rotate, down to Flip Horizontal, and that looks good. Then we will go ahead and bring in another set of stitching. We're going to rotate this one over to the right. And then we're going to move it up and make it smaller again. Looks good about there. Now you'll notice we still have some excess, so we can use our rectangular marquee to select what we don't want to include, and then the delete key on your keyboard. And since we have that to be about the right size, we'll go ahead and duplicate that layer and bring it over. And that looks good. Alright, the last thing we'll do here as far as our layers go is add our text layer. You can do that by selecting your type tool, entering in your settings. This is your font, your size, and your color. Make sure you have those set how you like them, and then go ahead and make a small rectangle in the area where you want your font to be. I'm going to be typing and then I'm actually going to use my move tool to put it into the place where I like it to be. And I'm going to go back to my type tool, and I'm going to change my settings because I did use a different font for the word friends. Once I've got that set, I'll go ahead and type that out. And again, I'll use my move tool to put it into place. And then I will lastly go in and type my journaling at the bottom here. We're going to have to change our settings once more. And for those of you who are interested, the font in this particular layout is called Rough Typewriter. I actually downloaded that from the Dafont website. That's D-A-F-O-N-T. And they have a lot of great free fonts that you can download. So after you get done typing whatever you'd like to say, you just go ahead and fill that in. And then we're ready to add our shadows. Some people like to add shadows to their layers as they're working, or some people like to do it at the end. That's totally up to you, but I will show you a quick and easy way to apply the shadows. Simply choose one of the layers. We'll go ahead and use the cardboard layer. You'll see that it's selected in your layers palette. You're going to right click. No, I'm sorry. You're going to go up to your effects palette, make sure that drop shadows is showing, and I like to choose this one, which is called soft edge, and then click apply. You'll see that the shadow was applied, and I always go into my effects palette, and you can do that by double clicking the FX. That's going to bring up the style settings, and you can play around with these until you get the look that you like. I always like to decrease the size of my shadow just slightly, and the distance is quite a bit, and that will give your shadows, I feel like that gives your shadows a more realistic look. Some people like to have deeper shadows, and that's just fine. So here I have my settings at 18, 5, and 75, and I feel like that looks pretty good. So I'll click OK. And what I'm going to do, since I know I like that particular shadow, is I'm going to copy that style. You can do that by right-clicking on that layer, and then you'll go up to the second rectangle and choose Copy Layer Style. Now I have that copied, so I can simply select the rest of my layers by clicking the Shift key. And once I see that they're all highlighted, I can right click and go to Paste Layer Style. You'll see that all of the elements now have that same drop shadow that we like. And I also noticed that I put the shadows on the font and the text in the layout, and we don't really want a shadow on our lettering because I'd like it to look more like it's actually printed on the tag. So I'll simply go over to my text layers and right click, and you can choose the very first option is Clear Layer Style. So I'll make sure I do that with all of my typing layers. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and that's a quick tutorial on how this layout was made. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for visiting scrappynet.com.